Senator
Judge
Padilla.
Hepburn, that's
Senator
directly
Padilla,
contrary to what your
Senator,
report
you all
said.
have
That is
had
direct-
all, no.
You're going to follow up, and that's how it works.
There is not.
That is exactly how it works.
Look,
If you follow up, you didn't get extra time, and she just directly contradicted her own report. I'm just going to read her own words because it's exactly the opposite of what she said. Your own report.
Senators,
Are you going to allow us to have a second round of questioning?
No, Senator Kennedy.
What are you trying to cover up here? Judge Hepburn, I was looking at your resume. You went to Brown University, is that right?
I did.
And then you went to law school in California?
That's correct.
And you've worked for the Brennan Center?
I interned. I was a law student intern.
Okay. And you worked for the Center for Reproductive Law and Policy?
I was a law student intern there for 8 weeks during my 1L summer.
Okay. And you are a political activist, aren't you?
I am not. I'm a sitting United States magistrate judge.
Okay. All right. Do you remember an inmate named William McLean, also known as July Justine Shelby?
Yes, I know who you're referring to.
Okay. Mr. McLean raped a child, didn't he?
30 years ago, the petitioner in the habeas case before me,
Did he rape a child?
he pled guilty to that crime. Yes, it's abhorrent.
And then he raped a 17, he raped a little boy, right?
I believe that's correct. I believe he pled guilty to two acts of sexual violence.
And then he raped a 17-year-old girl, right?
Again, this case was handled by the state court in Indiana, but I believe—
I'm just asking you the facts.
I believe—
Don't stall on me now. Did he rape a 17-year-old girl or not after raping a 9-year-old boy?
I believe that's what he pled guilty to.
Okay, and then he went to prison, didn't he?
Yes, the petitioner was—
And then he came out and he sent child porn, basically adults raping little children, to another sex offender. And he was sent back to prison, right?
The petitioner pled guilty to—
Was he sent back to prison?
Well, that case was in the federal system, so—
Was he sent back to prison?
Yes, this time to federal prison.
Thank you. And then he decided to transition, and he became a female and started going by July Justine Shelby. Is that right?
Yes.
And Ms. Shelby said, I don't want to go to a male prison. I want to go to a female prison. And the Board of Prisons said, what planet did you parachute in from? You're going to a male prison with this kind of record. And you sent him to a female prison, didn't you? You said that the Board of Prisons was trying to violate Ms. Shelby, former Mr. McLean's constitutional rights, didn't you?
I issued a report and recommendation to the district judge recommending that the district judge transfer the petitioner to a women's facility. The district judge adopted that recommendation.
The Board of Prisons was trying to violate Ms. Shelby's, Mr. McLean's constitutional rights, didn't you?
So I based my decision on the facts that were presented to me in the record evidence.
But it wasn't that your ruling?
I recommended finding that under Estelle versus Gamble—
Why won't you admit that was your ruling? Are you ashamed of it today?
I'm not. I'm answering the question. I applied Estelle versus Gamble.
But was that your ruling?
My recommendation was that the petitioner's serious medical needs were being denied by keeping her in a men's facility.
A violation of the Eighth Amendment, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And how big was Ms. Shelby, Mr. McLean?
I don't have a specific recollection. Your colleague just suggested that she was more than 6 feet tall.
And you told the Board of Prisons, well, she'll be okay. The other women in the female prison will be okay because it's only hypothetical that Ms. Shelby, Mr. McLean would reoffend again after he's already raped a 9-year-old boy and a 17-year-old girl and has been sending child porn through the mail. You said there's no chance he'll reoffend again. Did you say that?
Senator Kennedy, I based my decision on the record.
But am I right? Did you conclude that?
I don't have a specific recollection of that. I did recommend that after finding a constitutional violation.
What were you thinking in saying it's only hypothetical that she would reoffend?
The facts of the case were that the petitioner had last engaged in a contact offense 30 years ago. The petitioner had not engaged in any contact offense. In addition, the medical evidence made clear that for the last 5 years, the petitioner was sober and hormonally entirely a female, and there was no evidence.
The Board of Prisons didn't agree with you. I'm not going to run out of time here. You're really a political activist, aren't you?
I am not, sir.
But your record demonstrates otherwise.
I disagree. I apply the law to the facts and come to a fair decision. All of my decisions that have been appealed, particularly this one, the district judge adopted my report and recommendation in full, and the government did not move for a stay of the decision.
Well, Judge Netburn, I'm going to continue on this line of questioning. In your court, what matters more, the rights of individuals or your political ideology?
I apply the law to the facts.
I asked a question, which matters more?
Well, my political ideology doesn't matter at all.
Okay, so I don't believe you. And I think this case demonstrates that you are willing to subjugate the rights of individuals to satisfy your political ideology. This case involves a male defendant who raped a 9-year-old boy. Was he guilty of that?
Yes, the petitioner pled guilty to that.
Okay, so he raped a 9-year-old boy. He also raped a 17-year-old girl. Was he guilty of that?
He pled guilty. The petitioner pled guilty to that crime as well.
So was he guilty?
I hope so, because she pled guilty to it.
He was a he when he did this.
That's correct.
And also criminal deviant conduct, which the record doesn't disclose what that was exactly. Then, after serving in prison, Mr. McLean was released for parole, but then violated the terms of parole by having internet and was sent back to prison. 1 year after being released again, he was convicted of having child pornography. Is that correct?
I'm unclear on exactly the time frame that you're at, but the petitioner was convicted of distributing child pornography.
Child pornography that was images of adults violently raping children.
Abhorrent conduct.
Okay.
For which there are real victims.
And this individual, 6'2", Mr. McLean, was released for parole, but then violated the terms of parole by having internet and was sent back to prison. 1 year after being released again, he was convicted of having child pornography. Is that correct?
I'm unclear on exactly the time frame that you're at, but the petitioner was convicted of distributing child pornography.
Child pornography that was images of adults violently raping children.
Abhorrent conduct.
Okay.
For which there are real victims.
And this individual, 6'2", biologically a man. A minute ago, you said that when this man decided that he was a she, you said this individual was, quote, I wrote it down, sober and entirely a female. That phrase struck me as remarkable. Did this individual have male genitalia?
I think what I said, or at least what
that is a verbatim quote, entirely a female.
Sorry, what I meant to say was hormonally a female.
Okay, but that's not entirely. Did this individual have male genitalia?
Yes.
So you took a 6'2" serial rapist, serial child rapist with male genitalia, and he said, you know, I'd like to be in a women's prison. And your answer was, that sounds great to me. Let me ask you something. The other women in that prison, do they have any rights?
Is that a question you're asking me?
Yes, the other women in that prison, do they have any rights?
Of course.
Do they have the right not to have a 6'2" man who is a repeat serial rapist put in as their cellmate?
Senator Cruz, I considered the facts presented to me, and I reached a decision based on what the law is.
I asked you a question. Do they have a right not to have a 6'2" man who is a serial rapist put in as their cellmate? Do those women have a right to that?
Every person who's incarcerated has the right to be safe in their space.
But you didn't think so. You didn't think so. And in fact, I'm going to give some quotes from your order because Senator Kennedy is right. This is not a judge's order. This is a political activist. By the way, the beginning of your order says, at birth, people are typically assigned a gender. I got to say that would astonish a lot of Americans. A lot of Americans think you go to the hospital, a baby is born, and congratulations, you have a little boy, a little girl. The assigned a gender, I know you went to Brown, but it sounds like it's in a college faculty lounge with no bearing on reality. The Bureau of Prison argued what I'm saying right now, that if you put this person in a female prison, there will be a risk of sexual assault to the women. And you know what you did? You said you didn't care about the women. I'm going to quote what you wrote. You wrote, quote, "The Bureau of Prisons claim penological interest in protecting female prisoners from sexual violence and trauma. This interest is legitimate," that's kind of you to say, "but there are no signs that petitioner is at risk of reoffending. The record is devoid of evidence of incidents of violence or assault during petitioner's incarceration when she was the perpetrator, only the victim. A theoretical risk of sexual assault by the prisoner without more cannot support the BOP's position. No evidence, theoretical." Have you dealt, in what universe is someone who is a serial repeat child rapist not at a risk of reoffending?
Senator, as I do in every case.
Okay, I know you've been told to repeat the line, "I follow the law." I asked a question. In what universe is someone who is a serial repeat child rapist not at risk of reoffending?
Sir, I looked at the facts that were before me in this case. All of the evidence, including the statements of every warden who had supervised this petitioner.
You also wrote, "The BOP also posits that permitting petitioner to live among women will be traumatizing and possibly dangerous to them. This concern is overblown." I have to say, if I were the father of one of those women, and you decided that my daughter's cellmate was going to be a 6'2" man who over and over and over again committed violent sexual assault, I would say the entire justice system is absurd, and it is clear on your record your political ideology matters a heck of a lot more than the rights of those women that you endangered. I think you're a radical, and I think you have no business being a judge.
Thank you, Judge
Madam Chair,
Netburn. Senator
Madam
Judge
Padilla.
Netburn, that's
Senator
directly
Padilla,
contrary to what your
Senator, you
report
all
said.
have
That is
had
directly
no.
contrary.
No.
We're going to follow up, and that's how it works.
There is not.
That is exactly how it works.
Look,
If you follow up, you didn't get extra time, and she just directly contradicted her own report. I'm just going to read her own words
just said
because
it's fair,
it's
Madam
exactly
Chair.
the opposite of what she said. Your own report.
Senators,
quote,
I gave both of you more time to finish your line of questioning. I allowed the witness to finish her. I allowed the witness to finish her response. I allowed the witness to finish her response. That is,
okay, I understand
that
that you're
is not
scared of the
her
facts.
abusing your
status of chair.
Senator Padilla?
Madam Chair,
Open up
Madam Chair.
testimony and then
she
not
has an
give us a
obligation to
chance
explain
cross-examine?
why she directly contradicted what she wrote in her report. She says in her report, the Bureau of Prisons' claimed penological interest is in protecting female prisoners from sexual violence and trauma. She just told you the Bureau of Prisons didn't say there was a concern about sexual violence and trauma. Those are directly contradictory, and why are you contradicting what you wrote in your report?
And what are you trying to hide,
I believe
Madam
I have
Chair?
the floor.
No, wait, point of
I
order.
believe
Senator
I have
Padilla.
the floor.
Senator Padilla.
Are you going to let her answer that question?
Senator
or you
Padilla.
don't want her to answer that question?
Senator
You're
Padilla.
afraid?
Very much,
This is a
Madam
cover-up,
Chair.
Madam
Senator
Are you
Padilla.
afraid of the answer to
This
that?
is
Colleague.
no
Cover-up.
Are you
Senator
afraid
Padilla.
of the answer to that question?
Senator
Colleagues,
Padilla.
So yes,
My
you are
time.
afraid of the answer to that question.
Senator Padilla.
Please hold
Clearly,
my
you're
time.
afraid of the answer to that question.
This is
Thank you.
absurd. Madam Chair,
Ms. Newman.
Thank you.
I have a point of order, Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator Kennedy.
Madam Chair, with respect, you allowed the witness to go at length and to change her testimony without her being subject to cross-examination. Are you going to allow us to have a second round of questioning?
No, Senator Kennedy.
What are you trying to cover up here?
There is no cover-up, and Mr. Padilla, Senator Padilla, you'll be allowed the 30 seconds remaining
I
left
want
of
to
your time.
appeal the ruling of the
Thank
chair.
you. I'd like to hear the
I would like to
responses
appeal.
from the two
Madam
witnesses
Chair, I have
remaining.
a point of order. I'd like to appeal the ruling of the chair. You allowed a
Your point of order was offered and responded to,
and I appealed the ruling of the chair and called for a roll call vote. You allowed a witness, let me state my case.
Sure.
With respect. You allowed a witness to go on for 4 or 5 minutes, change her testimony, knowing full well that neither Senator Cruz nor I could cross-examine her about her perjury.
Senator Kennedy, would you allow the witnesses to finish responding to my question, and then we can act on your request?
And I think we
Senator
should
Kennedy.
have a second round.
Senator Kennedy.
And I am appealing the ruling of the chair.
Senator Kennedy, would you allow the witnesses to finish responding to my question, and then we can respond to your request?
And I am appealing the ruling of the chair.
Senator Kennedy, I gave you a response to your request of a second round of questioning. I have no intention on allowing a second round of questioning.
And I'm appealing your ruling.
That is fine. There is no procedure that allows for a roll call. There is no procedure for it that allows for a roll call vote in this committee. This is a hearing. I have the gavel. I have responded to your request.
This is
and I am going to return
I will
to
say I've
Senator
never seen a chair try so hard to protect a witness and avoid answering why she just lied on the stand with her own words, her own opinion.
Thank you so much for your request. It has been heard, responded to. Senator Padilla,
There will be no cross-examination. The witness shall be allowed to lie, and no one will ask.
I think I have the floor.
You asked for, was there going to be another round of questions?
Point of order. Your
the answer
ruling
is no.
That we can't have a second round, that the chair can allow a witness, after we're finished with cross-examination, go on at length, change her testimony, potentially perjure herself. We're not allowed to cross-examine in a second round of questioning, which we do all the time.
The answer is no, Senator Kennedy.
I can't, and you now ask for a roll call vote to appeal your ruling.
Madam Chair.
No, you cannot.
Madam Chair, point of personal privilege, please. Madam Chair, point of order.
Senator Hirona.
You know, we have been witness to literally witness badgering, and now badgering of the chair. She has issued her ruling. There is no appeal. Some of us would like to get on with this hearing.
I'm sure you
and
would.
To have to sit here and listen to all of you go off time and time and time again. And I just want to commend this witness, this nominee, for her comportment, because what her comportment says to me is that she is going to be a damn good judge. Can we get on with it, Madam Chair?
So does every Democrat senator want to cover up the facts here? Is any Democrat